No, my machine is not happy to see me. So this is the tail section. And we're looking for about 6.5 inches of movement like this. And I think we have it. Of course it's going to be shoved way out that way, but my garage door won't allow that. So that piece is attached directly to the back. And then I drilled a bunch of holes in it to not only make it look cool, but it reduced a whole bunch of weight. I'm also going to drill a bunch of holes into that. There's going to be a wheel down there, and then springs pulling it up here somewhere. And then at some point, I'm going to drill a hole right about here. That'll be for me to sit on when it's in the crouched position, so I don't have to be carrying it around all the time. Now I got to drill a bunch of holes in this to kill some weight, and that's just going to be how it is. But it's pretty sturdy, according to the. So that'll do. So there we go. We got the tail on, and that's totally removable, and that's going to have like a sleeve of foam that comes up and stays on that piece, and then velcros to the butt. And that wire, I don't know if you can see it, this wire kind of represents the size of the shell. When I'm sitting, it comes up 6.5 inches, and when I'm squatting, it goes down. And so that mechanism is here, and that's also the pin to take it off. But yeah, we had to do some simple math and figure it out. The weight is still not that much. I can lift it up with one hand. Well, the top section. The only thing going in between my legs will be something like that around here somewhere. And then the seat will be around here somewhere also, but completely removable. I'll just make a hook for it back here somewhere or something, along with the beer holder. She's got her tail, and she's got an overstructure. Now this one is still going to come down to something that goes in between the legs, but for now it'll do. So this was my idea for the shoulder straps, and then that way it doesn't have anything underneath blocking you from getting in and out. So far it works alright. Now the end stops work really well, whereas I can have it like this, or I can pull it back like that. It sits like that. The tail's going to be pushed up a little bit more, but yeah, it makes getting into it really easy. Well, not really easy, but easy enough. So hands-free. Pick it up and walk around. Oh, we lost it. Oh no. So I finished the overstructure for the old exosuit here, and it is gi-frickin-gantic. Can't get it all in one shot. So we started back here with the tail. we have it bolted to the back. And then instead of directly connecting it to this I just connected it on the piece of wood. And I put this piece across the back, and then all these 3 pieces, 1, 2, and 3 back there, to go across. And well, I was noticing that it was starting to get heavy, so I thought it would be a good idea to drill a shit ton of holes in it. So it didn't come like that, folks. I actually did that. You can tell none of them are lined up properly. But yeah, so once we got that, we made this cross member. This big hunk of burning love here is going to be where Bowser's head is connected to. Those come down to a piece that goes across. That piece goes back to the tail piece. So it's all independent of the legs, except where it connects at the back. These 2 things are probably the only hunks of aluminum I had to buy in the last 2 weeks. Then I reinforced it with these 2 bad boys going across there. This also had to be done after the fact, but I realized I could put the head on it too. So these 2 circles here represent where the arms are going to go. And it kind of works pretty good really good for me to reach my hand right through here. So there's going to be some sort of mechanism I move back and forth to move the arms, make them move closer and further together. And maybe a squeezy thing to do fingers. The stancers work really good, and I added it a hole here and a hole here. And when it's standing up, I can actually put a leg lock pin in there. So then most of the weight is not even on me at all. I just have to balance. So that's going to be nice if I don't want to sit down. Now, the seat I'm going to put is going to be somewhere in this area. I haven't quite figured it out where a comfortable place to sit is. There might not be a comfortable place because my feet are going to be locked into this. So we'll see what happens. It might have to be way up higher, but that's going to get in the way of me walking. So might just have to be totally separate, hanging off the back and kind of flip down and lock into place or something. That'd be kind of cool. I added these 2 little blocks here for to stop it from moving back and forth. And really, that's kind of all I've got done. So this line, this piece of metal here, it's not very good, but it goes all the way down to the tail, and that's supposed to represent the curve of his belly. Just give me a rough outline. So like Bowser's body has this part right here, and that's kind of what this cross member is going to represent. And then this is going to open up and fold down, and that's going to be how I get in. His head's going to be attached up to this thing, and the shell's going to come all the way up to probably here, because like how his head is, I made it like so that he'll be like right there, and then his shell will come. Yeah, I can't get it right. The curve of his shell and the curve of his belly are pretty much the same. So this piece of plywood should slot into the top of the shell right around this point. I figure my head will be right underneath this middle spike, and then all this will be ahead of that. So we'll see how it goes. So far everything is going according to plan, and it's actually to scale except for how far apart the legs are. But really there's other pictures with Bowser with skinnier legs. But it'll look good, I promise. So there we go, we got the basic outline of the shell. And I think it matches really good. This little wire that goes down here kind of matches where the side of the shell goes. And yeah, it's gonna be massive. It kind of makes me want to like drive around with it and throw it off my truck. There's the back view. Obviously that plywood isn't gonna stay, but it's just there to have a placeholder for the back of the shell. Now I really got to find some sort of tubing that's going to be able to go around there. And I was thinking ducting, but I need 10-inch, and the store only has about 6-inch, so I don't know what I'm gonna do. I guess build it out with foam, but like, I was always gonna cover it with foam anyway, so I guess I can build it out. It'll be lighter than 10-inch. And we gotta figure out how long it is from all the way around there and up and over. And then we'll go get some of that tubing. So this is one of the pieces for at the very top of Bowser, and it's gonna like clamp on and hold that very top part from wanting to tweak around. Tweaky. Now that's one hell of a shell. So I finished up the shell, and she is looking pretty prime. It's got 3 attachment points right now, but it kind of sits down on those shoulder bell thingies, so it's a good thing. And once the whole body's on there and it velcros to it, it'll be all good. In the back here, I just made this attachment point. It's just a simple little bracket. No big deal. This piece goes across to hold the width, as well as a piece of banding across the front here. Other than that, I just kind of made it like Spider-Man's suit. Spokes of a wheel. Tried to weave it. It's very light. It comes up and off all by itself. It is kind of a little bit tweaky side to side. The wire I used was the same stuff as the stuff they use on chain link fences to bind it together, or bind it to the post. And of course, handyman's secret tool, duct tape. I'm gonna build some sort of a bracket to keep it up there. So I just took a little walk in her, and it's still pretty dang light. That shell weighs just about nothing at all. Well, not nothing, but right now I'm trying to figure out where to put the arm exactly. And I got this handy dandy piece of wire, and it'll show it's approximately the right size. So if I have it coming out of there, it's going to be like out to here. Somewhere in here-ish. Jeez, I'm pro. So I'm thinking the best thing to do would be to make a little bracket right here. That's at whatever this angle is. Something like that. And then use a little bit of that aluminum and bolt down. And that'll be the main structure to hold up the foam for the arm. That should work. So there's the idea for the arms. I think I'm going to trim them a little bit shorter, because right now I've got it to like the tip of the finger, and I don't think I need that much. And if I make the fingers bend, then I definitely don't need that much. Might reinforce those elbows with a couple of plates. Then I got to drill holes through the end part there. And of course I got to fill it full of holes to help with weight reduction. So I'm going to spend the next hour and a half doing that. Then I have to make some sort of bracket for up in there. And yeah, it's going to be awesome, because it's working out great. Alright, so I just finished the arms. These will be attached to the overframe. It's pretty simple. I just made a bunch of aluminum parts out of what I had left here, drilled a bunch of holes in it to reduce the weight, and like I can pick this whole thing up from this end, and it just works pretty good. Now I just have to make a couple brackets to attach it to the overframe, and it's all good to go. The only thing left I'd have to do is make a bracket to hold the head on. And then the shell, the tail, the head, and the arms will all be able to come off. It'll just be some weird naked Bowser. But yeah, I'm out of screws tonight, so I'm going to have to shut her down. So I've just attached the arm. And It's pretty wobbly, but I think like a lot of that's gonna just accentuate the movement and the puppeteering of it. So I got this wire on here to kind of help me figure out where the shoulder goes down to the elbow, and then it comes out straight out to, like, dang it, comes straight out to the hand, and really it's probably going to be a lot bigger. I think the hand's going to be like 26 inches around, so it's going to be around somewhere like that big. But I just wanted to see if this angle will work, because I wasn't really satisfied with it when I first looked at it, but now I'm kind of thinking it's okay. Here's what I finally came up with for the shoulder mounting system, and I think I'm gonna put another band going to the middle strut there, like actually one from here to up there, back to down to the other side when I put it on. But yeah, it's just a simple thing. I got the bungee cord on it right now. I'm trying to hold it out. It's got lots of range of motion, but I think I'll restrict it just so it doesn't push the shell off or anything like that. Alright, I think I should put the other arm on, and then we'll figure out a head bracket. So we're done the arms over there, and next part is just a head bracket. And now I wanted something like semi-solid for the head to mount to, so I thought big old flower pot. Now this is the biggest one I could find. It's still not quite big enough. I almost need 5 inches on either side still. But it's going to be a good base, and it's pretty light, and it's the right shape. I was experimenting with ways to lighten it up, and I tried drilling holes, but it started to crack a little bit, and that's not what we want. So I took the old grinder out and I ground out a hole, and that's definitely got more strength to it. So I think I'm just going to cut 4 big old pizza pies out of this thing with a saw blade. It should work not too bad, and it'll help with the weight. So here's the basic idea. I'm just going to cut a big piece of pie out of there. I left one of these extra thick, and I'm going to use it to attach to the neck piece there. Alright, let's give her a go. I've never cut flower pot with a saw blade before. So it's still pretty dang sturdy. That'll do. Alright, so that's our attachment point for this big old chrome dome. Just put her on with a couple of screws and it should work fine. Now I just got to make some sort of actual bracket that'll mate up with that bracket over there. Alright, Bowser's skeleton is 99% completed. I think I want to put some pieces on the hands. Something, I don't know, just to hold the shape of the fist. I've noticed got a little bit of bending going on. And it seems to be just these two. This side doesn't seem to be bending at all. Oh, that bottom is. I think it's just a matter of straightening those out a little bit and making them more aligned. I did pick it up and go for a walk, and it works great. Here's my little neck joint that I made. It's pretty, it's not very pretty, but, so yeah, the head moves back and forth just a little bit. That's good. So this is going to give me a structure to build all the foam off of. The only thing left to do is put a wheel on that tail down there. And some things on the hands. And I definitely want to put some foam on there, because it's starting to get heavy on the old shoulders. But I can pick it up and walk around in it still. And like literally there's going to be maybe 20 pounds of foam on here now. So time to start working out the legs. Okay, so we got our wheel attached to our piece, and our piece attached to our other piece, and that's attached to the tail. And then that goes back into the costume in the butt. Then I just got to put a spring on it, and it's all good. Hopefully, if I did my math right. So when it squats down, the tail will be up under tension of the spring, and when I stand up, the spring's tension will push the tail down, and it'll always be on the ground. So the tail and the feet are the 3 points of contact, and hopefully I engineered it good enough to be stable. So now I got to figure out how to get my ass sitting down right there. So I figure I'm going to use a couple more of these things where they go inside. Mill a slot, make it happen, and then for the one end I actually got these universal sockets. I'm going to kind of split it open, maybe just cut a V in here and try and get it to go over top of this, and we need to grind a hole in that somehow, because that's hardened tool steel. And then, well, 2 holes on each end of each one. Hopefully that'll give it enough motion that it won't jam up, because I figured those ones didn't need to move side to side at all, because they are only going up and down. The side to side motion comes from the hips. So, but when it's attached from the foot to the seat, it's going to have to go forward, backward, side to side, all over the place. So it's going to have that universal. And a lot of play, I believe. So let's mock that up now. First things first, I need to figure out where my butt's going to go. So for this fancy dancy bike seat, I'm thinking of just like carving a profile that fits all along that out of the end of this, and just putting a plate across, and that way if I mess it up I can move it out or in or wherever. I think I'm going to mount it on the angle. It'll look better. So in the end, this is what I came up with for the seat. It's screwed on there, and I made a little bracket for the back. It's really strong. Drilled my signature hole in her. got the angles on there, and then I'm gonna just kind of plop her in place with some duct tape and see if it's actually like gonna hit my legs or not. But yeah, it's pretty sturdy. Alright, so we got the bike seat in there, but we found a problem where this guy just wants to fall back on his ass all the time. So what I'm proposing is something from here to here, like one of these on those universals. And that should keep everything from falling back. It's like we want it like way out here. And that'll actually take a lot of the counterweight. And then when I stand up, it should be okay, maybe, I don't know. Question mark, question mark, question mark. Yeah, it'll work. Alright, so we got these bolted on barely. Drilling holes in tool steel isn't fun, kids. But, so that gives me my 2 axes of motion. And then I got one on each end here. This one wasn't as hard as tool steel, so it was a lot easier to drill. But you put them together, starts out short, gets really big, and it can go in any sort of direction up to 26 inches, and then it falls out. So hopefully I never take a step that big, because I don't think I calculated it being that big. Okay, now I need to make another one. Get 2 more of these things, because I didn't calculate properly. And yeah, then I have to make something to make it attach to my suit. So after almost a day of messing around, this is what I finally came up with. I got this universal joint socket that I screwed very badly to this other one, and then I drilled a couple holes and I got this bracket. That bracket goes onto a bracket like this, and these slot inside each other. Yeah, come on. Somewhat. So yeah, and it's in the closed position like that, and then it'll open up. It can move in all axes, and hopefully it doesn't open more than 25.5 inches, because that's when this comes out. So right here you can see I've got one mounted right next to the other one and on the leg, and it'll go up to this point here and hold this up like that-ish. Hopefully. That's the idea anyway. Alright, so after some minor adjustments, I have these things all in place here. They work really good, and I can sit on the seat, and it's fairly solid. One thing I was noticing in a bit of video I took earlier is that the tail is lifting up a little bit. So I think I'm going to put a couple of weights out there. I know it sounds really weird to put weight on the costume that I'm trying to make light, but it's going to keep my butt down, you know, like, and that's kind of the effect I need for this to work, and it'll end up taking some of the weight. And I still want to put some springs on that thing to keep it down. It's hard to show what these things really do right here, but they work the same way as these ones, just differently. I'm just going to get inside the costume and show you what it looks like. Alright, so right now I'm inside the costume. I am sitting in the position as my shoulders are not touching that. And right now everything's just alright. So when I stand up, so now picking that up, you can see I'm opening up and moving every which way that I may move the foot. And yeah, and then I just set it all down to sit back down. good to go. So the next thing I need to do is make it so that this doesn't come any closer than that, and I want to be able to open it up more. So I was thinking about having a little down handle and then just something to frickin' push on. Like, all I need is like an L or a tube or something, and that'll give me enough leverage to pull that out, because these things aren't really that heavy and they're going to be static, so really just the weight's going to keep them in there. So I'm just going to put a stopper right in there and it'll keep it from going all the way down and punching his own face. I've decided not to make the fingers move, because really on this costume like this, people probably won't even notice it. And if I really wanted to make the fingers move, I could just go back and do it some other day. So what I gotta do is screw a couple of these things on there so that I can actually hold the fingers up where they need to be, because the top of the wrist is going to be like up there, the bottom's going to be down here. It's still pretty big. I think maybe that was the circle for the size of the wrist. So yeah, what we really want to do is figure out where this needs to be held in 3D space, and then make the wrist accordingly. Okay, we got this little stopper here, so it doesn't go any further than that. And I put a little bungee cord here so it doesn't flop around too much. This piece I just got clamped on, but I was experimenting with that being comes down and then a handle going in, so that I would turn it like this, because I only need a little bit, and I don't want it to be too high because it's uncomfortable for me to reach up like that. I want it down here area where my hands kind of go. I don't know what to make it out of though. I do have a lot of this stuff left, but weight is always an issue. Stay tuned, we'll figure it out. So made a slot on that side and a big hole on that side, and got these little dollar store hangers, and it goes through there and twists, locks into there, and I just kind of screw it through there and there, and then I take it, screw it onto there. So we've got this one mocked up in here already, and it's pretty easy to just take that and open her up. I don't want too much motion. I just got a bungee cord on there, but I think that'll do just fine. So there's a cardboard mock-up of the hand, and it's going to be gigantic. Alright, so we got this little funky piece here. That goes inside of the tail. It goes inside there. And then the spring's in there. So I bolted this bad boy on there. It's on there. So there we go. Tail spring's all in. The head. And it's way above me up there. So I screwed this hunka on there, and it seems to move the head good. And I'm going to have it in 3 positions, looking left, looking straight, and looking right. And so what I want is like a plate across here and a spring that'll come out and into the plate. So what I figured out is this. There'll be a spring in here down to this. This will be bolted onto something, and then it'll just like move in and out. So that'll torsion up the spring, and then the spring will come out. This is what we came up with, this little boomerang piece here and all this. So you just pull this up, and then you move the head over to the desired position. Oh, and then keeps the head from moving around. Another thing off the massive checklist. Alright, now that we got the neck locked in place, I made this ring to represent one of the neck rings. And that's the inside of the neck ring, so it's going to be like it's going to be frickin' big. So this right here is going to be the pivot for the jaw, because I want him to be able to open and close his mouth. So yeah, that's approximately where I could figure out where it had to go. And so that's where approximately I put it. Time to make the rest of it and then figure out a way to rotate it so he can open his big old jaw. I believe I'm just going to use box stuff cut down into angle iron. Supply's running pretty low. I only got like 1 or 2 pieces over there left, but it's really been working out great. It's helped me immensely that I got that score of aluminum, because, well, otherwise it would be really heavy and I would have had to buy it all. Booyah! So here's the extent of my jaw mover. It's connected to this rod, which goes on a pivot, and up there I got some bungees. I think I'm going to end up putting a magnet of some sort up there to try and hold it, because right now it's a lot of force acting on that. I actually could calculate it. We figured that out in math class today. Now, that is about the extent of the work I'm going to do as far as mechanical movement goes. Got the jaw movement, got the neck movement, and I've got some arm movement. A lot of leg movement, a little bit of tail movement. I think that's enough. Something's occurred to me is that my viewpoint is going to be from about that rod down to the... Yeah, there's still teeth and stuff to go in there, so let's just say it's not going to be much. But it should be enough. So I just got this $45 ladder in order to get into the costume, and it just doesn't fit right. So we're going to have to remedy that. Alright, we got the ladder installed, and looks pretty good. It works good. I put little magnets on the end here, and it just kind of pops off, comes down, the string attached to it, old hammer handle. Yeah, I thought the magnet idea was pretty good, so I put one up under there for the jaw, and she just kind of pops off like that, and then holds the jaw in place. And also I put a couple for the arms here, so there it is, and it won't come off when I'm walking around. That's about it for that. So here we are. We've got our costume in costume. Might as well be a mech suit. We got this big monstrosity ready to go. I have got the arms all done. They're sitting back there. And I have the whole body done. The only other thing I might want to do is put a couple of little stirrups for my feet, because it's kind of a weird angle when I have my feet in the feet when I'm in there. But when I'm sitting up there with my feet on that bar, it works out pretty good. I think that'll wrap up part number 1.
2.
We're going to do all the foam work and templating in part number 2.
3.
So stay tuned. We're going to have a good time.
I must ask you a question.
It might just not have to be... It might just have... So... So maybe I should figure that out now. Question mark, question mark, question mark. Yeah, it'll work. So, what the fuck am I gonna say here? Man, I can't decide. Oh. Excuse me.